Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Sorry for the brief delay. We had some technical difficulties, but we got them all worked out, and I appreciate your patience. Today, we will be learning about year-end payroll processing and reporting. And Innovia's very own Lori Knapp will be doing the presentation. She is one of our senior application consultants. And we just ask that if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to type them into the questions box, and we will get them called out at the end of the webinar. And we do record all of our webinars, so this will be available for you to review again on our website at innovia.com by the end of the week. So now I will turn it over to Lori, and she will begin our presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Again, I want to state my apologies and everything for whatever reason. Technical difficulties always get in the way of, when you want to go forward. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. All right. So today's goal is really for me to help you go ahead and save money, obviously, and also get your tickets resolved quicker when you do have problems, and to also help improve your overall support experience with us, especially when it comes to payroll. It seems like those are always critical issues. So I hope to be able to help you provide us the information so we can help you quicker. Okay, so today we're going to cover a little introduction, which Angie's already done. And then we're going to review the different types of tickets that we have and different ways to submit them. And then talk about some typical year-end payroll support issues. And then also try to help you understand the difference between payroll tax updates and regulatory updates. And then also the things that you should include to send with us when you're initiating a support ticket so that we can help get it going quicker. And then obviously talk about the cost savings by submitting the proper information so that we can turn things around quicker. And then we'll finally end up with a short Q&A session. Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Angie introduced me. Yes, I'm a senior application consultant with Innovia. I've been with Innovia, I think 8 years now, 7 years, going on 8 years. And I've been in the NAV world since 1996. Payroll's always been one of my specialties, so I always seem to get most of those handed to me. And at the bottom, here's my contact information. Obviously, you can reach me by email at any time. And then this is my direct phone number. So if you have a totally critical problem, you can call there or call our normal support line. Okay, so year-end and payroll. That ends up typically being the busiest time for all of us. If it's not, right in December, it shortly follows and flows right into January. And I would say that January by far is the busiest month we have in serving not only payroll support tickets, but also trying to get out the, the tax updates, the regulatory updates, helping you get your W-2s out. So I get a lot of screams for help during that month. Okay. So first of all, there's a couple different ways you can submit support tickets. You can always send them directly to support@innovia.com. And I would highly encourage that you always send them in through that address rather than sending them to me directly. If I would happen to be out of the office, I may not get it till I get back. And then obviously if you've got a critical problem, nobody's going to see that if it's sitting in my email basket. And just so you know, I will be out the last week of December. So that is a time when you most certainly should be using support at Innovia.com. And then obviously you can also go to our website at Innovia.com, and there is the ability there for you to submit a support case as well. Anytime you have an emergency situation, you should always call the 800 number here. That will get you the fastest service, even quicker than submitting a support ticket. And then for those of you that want to have access to our support portal, or if you do have access to our support portal but are having problems, you call the support lead, Holly Coutil, and that is, you can either reach her via calling the support line or emailing her. Okay, so as talk about the different types of payroll support issues for year end, typically we have the W-2 processing and whatever employee reporting, employer reporting issues that come up. And then, of course, we always have tax rate updates and regulatory updates. Those are the major areas. So problems producing W-2s. What do you do when you have to add different things like maybe moving expenses or maybe some sort of expense reimbursement that has to be reported on a W-2? We have those types of things. People that cannot access Green Shades or they can't get their files to upload to Green Shades, because we all know that's where you have to produce your W-2s now. And then, of course, we get our fair share of different issues with 940s, with 941s, and even some state reporting. So all of those, I lump into that first group there. And again, if you have an urgent matter, please call us directly. I can't stress that enough. Not only do I get a call transferred to me, I may be working on something very intently and not check my email even for a couple hours. So even if I'm here and it comes directly to me via email, there's not a guarantee that I will get to it right away because I won't see it. Okay, so then we have tax rates and regulatory updates. Okay, tax rates and regulatory update we'll go into in further detail, but typically what we see is regulatory updates have not been applied or they're not up to date, and you require something that is covered in the latest one. Those regulatory updates typically are not cumulative, meaning that most of them have to be applied in order, and you need all of the previous updates before you can put the current one on. Affordable Care Act reporting issues. At least up through this year, there's been minor changes in some of the things, so you've had to get those put in. Don't know if there will be any for this year, probably not, but I've not heard anything to say that there definitively will not be any changes. And then, of course, we always have to worry about the implementation of new tax tables and brackets. So, you've got tax rates coming out not only for federal, but you're going to have all your state unemployment. Some states have workers' comp, things that have to be taken care of. So you always have your share of those issues, too, that come in. One thing I want to stress is to make sure that your IT department gets a good backup at the year end and verify that it can be restored. I don't think that anybody's going to want to recreate payroll for an entire year during that, time period, because, just the normal problems you have getting payroll taken care of for year end. If you had to create what was done for an entire year, that would be a bit. So please, make sure the T department has a backup scheduled for year end, and that we can get it restored. B. Okay. So even with all I've mentioned that our potential hotspots, end of year payroll processing doesn't have to be stressful. If you do some of the things we're going to talk about, it will remove and alleviate some of that stress, and maybe you'll even have some fun. I always say preparation is the key to having a successful January and getting all your payroll issues out of the way. Okay. So first of all, begin early. Right now is not too soon. Thanksgiving is a little over a week away, and then once you get past that, this year we're lucky we have one more week until December starts. Believe me, that time between Thanksgiving and the end of the year goes through so quickly in the blink of an eye that if you don't start doing things now, you might get caught short. So what can you do? Well, you can run reports and start verifying in taxes, making sure that your Medicare for employer and employee agree what's being submitted. Same thing with Social Security. You can verify that any payments that have to be added to an employee can be done by journal entries. If you need to verify PTO carrier, all those kind of things, now is the time to do that. So it gets time to handle, okay, I've done this. This is all I got to do to get it in and working. Payroll tax updates. Those will start to be published here. My guess is they'll start coming out right after Thanksgiving. Serenic is those. I go and get them and download them. And then from there, you have two choices. You can either have me send you the document and you be responsible for entering those and any new tax brackets, any changes to any pay controls that might be listed in there, those things, or you can ask us to do the implementation of those for you. When we do them, and even if you do them, I want you to please do them in both your test environment and your live environment, because if we do have a problem, we have a place that has the current information so that we can use your test environment rather than trying to test or replicate or troubleshoot whatever in your live environment. Okay. In the year-end updates, regulatory updates will be separate from the tax updates. I will let you know about those. And then depending on where you are within payroll build and whether you've had any updates put in, then we'll go ahead and we'll make arrangements as necessary to get those implemented for you. Some customers have big enough IT department that they can do them for you. Other times we have to do them, especially if there's code involved. Okay. Also, during this time when you're preparing, go ahead and verify that you can log into the Filing Center and the Form Center for Green Shades, because you'll need to be able to access both of those places to finish up your W-2s and in some cases to do your federal reporting. Okay, another thing that once you run your payroll reports to make sure that things are okay, you may come across some quarterly adjustments that are needed. For example, I just had to help a client out recently where the Medicare EE and the Medicare ER portions did not match, and it was simply due to a journal entry that had been made backwards. So I would highly suggest that do those reports so that you can do all your verifications. If you find that adjustments are needed, then get with me. I can help you. NAV Serenic Payroll has the ability to do quarterly adjustments. Okay. And then lastly, as I mentioned, make sure that you review and prepare for any of your year-end carryovers, things like PTO, vacation, or sick hours. Okay. And one last tip, you need to order your W-2 and W-3 forms. Also, now you have the option to just use plain paper and print the entire forms. So if you prefer not to do the ordering, then you can do them on, print them on regular paper. The only suggestion I have is that ordering the forms, you get the breakdown and they're on perforated paper, which makes it easier for your employees. Okay. So let's talk about payroll taxes and regulatory updates and the process for those. Okay, so payroll tax updates, like I said, they're published by Canic/Serenic. They notify me once they're published. I go out to their website, I download them, and then I review them, make sure I know what's in there, and then I will, send out an email to all our payroll clients and let them know that they're out there. And then I give you the ability to either request that I send you the PDF file or to schedule them, so I can do the deployment for you. And I think I already spoke to doing them both in your test environment and your live environment and keeping those in sync, just because you never know when another payroll problem is going to develop and will need to work in your test environment. Okay, regulatory updates. Again, because of the type of updates those are, they are obviously more time consuming and typically ones that we have to do. Many times they are required for year-end payroll processing. There may be changes to forms such as W-2s, maybe other information that has to be gathered within the system. So again, they're fairly important. And again, I get notification that they're there, and then I go about downloading them and either distributing them or, scheduling with you to get those deployed. Okay. Again, regulatory updates, those all have to be installed regardless of, what version of payroll you're running. Each version has their own set of regulatory updates. So it's really a personalized analysis that we need to do to make sure that you're up to date on those. Okay. As I said, the tax updates, primarily, they're going to be new rates and new tax brackets. I have a little typo there. They're for 2019. Sometimes there's new ones that come in also to finalize processing for this year, but typically they're for the new year that's coming up. Okay. Now, while NAV or Serenic provides a FOB file that can be uploaded through payroll, we very rarely recommend using that, because if you have any kind of customizations to your payroll controls at all, then that file is going to overwrite them. So they don't take that long to enter manually, so that's what we always recommend. The update document that you get is a PDF document, and it will list the pay controls that are affected, and then it will define, brackets or other tables that may need to be changed to accommodate the new changes. Once in a great while, there are changes to method steps. I know some years back, they changed the way that you can handle tax-exempt deductions, for example. So there's different things like that come out that you just have to be, to look at before you know what you're going to do. Okay, so then the next thing again are the regulatory updates. As we said, some are required because they contain changes that directly relate to regulatory reporting, such as your 940s, 941s, on occasion, W-2 processing. The biggest thing I've seen at the end of the year are changes to your W-2 layouts. I don't know why the government likes to change that form, which seems to be every year or 2 years, but they do. Okay. Kennick does not maintain any changes to pre-2015 versions of W-2 layouts or Bang Media. So if you've got an older version, we can still try to help you, but those all have to be done manually based on what we know. So just be aware of that. Okay. The regulatory updates can also impact the way that NAV interfaces with green shades. So there might be changes in the file that's getting uploaded to the filing center, or there may be changes on how you access the form center. Okay. W-2 processing. Again, run your reports to verify earnings, tax information. You want to verify you've got everybody's social security numbers, they're correct, employee address information, and you want to verify that you have all your employer information together. Don't forget that whoever's processing W-2s or who's going to be the main contact, that has to be entered into NAV, and that's found on the employer card. Okay. If you have adjustments to any of your federal related taxes, you can use the quarter recalculation functionality. And basically what that does is you define the quarter you want to look at. It goes through and it says, oh, I've got a problem here between Social Security employee, Social Security ER, and it will true those two up. It will make adjustments in the payroll ledger entries for the employee, and then once you run your reports, everything should tie out. But I always say be prepared, do your report so that you know that that exists and how you're going to have to run it and what results you're looking for. Okay, some of those can be made through a payroll journal. Typically, any kind of adjustments can be. You just aren't using the payroll journal for payroll processing. Okay. Don't forget to accumulate taxable employee benefits, such as maybe a moving reimbursement. Okay. And then when you're ready, you're going to run the generate W-2s to create the file that's going to be uploaded to Green Shades to the filing center. Okay. Once that file has been uploaded, you can access it there and make corrections to data within the filing center as well. So, it's easier if you do it before you create that file. Then that's one less step that you have to worry about once you're in Green Shades and working in an area where you're not as familiar. Okay, once you know that your data is complete in the filing center and that everything is what it needs to be, then that's when you're going to go ahead and you're going to transfer the data to the form center, and then that's where you typically print the W-2s for the employees. Okay. If you're going to be filing your 941 or your 940 electronically, you can do that, but that is done through the filing center and not the form center. And then also, in case you're unaware, in the newer versions of NAV, I believe it's 2015 and above, you can still print out W-2s within NAV. I know they took that feature away for some time, but they have now put it back there, even though your processing and filing still takes place in the filing center. So you still have to use Green Shades to get some of it done, but rather than going to the form center, you can now print your W-2s in 2015 and above. Okay, we talk about federal and state reporting. I'm typically federally are the 940s, which is your unemployment, and your 941, which is your quarterly with your tax submissions and stuff. Again, you want to be able to run reports and review and verify that information prior to actual processing. the one report that I usually default to, and this is whether it's for an employee or for, if I'm looking at a pay control, is the pay control transaction summary report. So I can run that for Medicare employee and Medicare employer. That will list out, in summary at the bottom, the totals, and then it also lists those two pay controls by each employee. So if you have a discrepancy and you don't know where it is, that report is handy because you can run it and then you can go by employee and compare the two amounts, and then you can find out where the problem is. From there, that's just the start, because then you still have to determine what the correct figure should be. Okay. I also like to run that report for PUTA and even for SUTA to verify the employee earnings, the limits, and the taxes. So that way, if everybody has hit their limits, you're not going to have any deductions, past whatever quarter it is that they hit their limit. Okay, same thing for state unemployment. If I'm working with multiple states, then I review each state and again review and verify all the information. If you have multiple states, that's just another step that you have to take. So be prepared to handle that. Okay. The Affordable Care Act reporting, I believe, is still in force. I think they're still checking, even though, there may not be any more penalties. I think they're still going ahead and tracking this. So there will be mass updates for ACA information. So that will be an option that you can run. You're going to want to update your employee ACA offers and then create the employee ACA coverage reports, and then run the process generate ACA, and then you set that to open the filing center, and then the reports will be created for you in green shades. Okay. The deadline to get W-2s to employees is January 31st. That doesn't really change ever, but it is a critical date. And then, you've got other dates for 1099s even, and so forth. So, under your payroll support, what should you provide so that you can help us? First of all, I need you to determine the urgency. If you've got something that is drop dead critical, that means your system's down. You can't process payroll and you need help immediately. Obviously, as January rolls on, and if you're having problems with W-2s, the later it gets in the month, the higher the level of urgency is. Okay. So again, if your processing is stopped, call. If it's not due today, then give me a date when you need it by, because as I said, I'm so inundated with requests during this time of the year. I sometimes have to lay things out, and it's not necessarily going to be a first come, first serve, because I may have other critical issues to deal with during this time frame. So if you don't need it today, let me know when, and I will get it scheduled to meet your due date. Okay, here's a list of certain things that we asked you to provide, and obviously the more you provide, the more information we have, the quicker we can get started in working on it. First of all, I want to know who the person is that is your main contact and how to get in touch with them. If you've done any troubleshooting yourself, I would like to know what those are and what has happened. If you're getting error messages, or even if you have odd information on the screen, take a screenshot. Error messages are things that I love to get. I know you guys probably can't interpret those, but I can interpret them, or at least pull clues out of there that may help me determine what the problem is. Okay. The problem that you're having, is it limited to one employee or one particular payroll control, or is it a whole group of employees? If there's any pattern at all that you have established, please let us know what it is. Obviously, I'm going to ask who is having the problem and what's happening, what is unusual about it, or is it just normal? Do you know of any other changes that may have happened to cause this? And then if I need help understanding what the problem is, I may need you to give me the steps that allow me to replicate the problem in your test database. So this is, why I say, please keep your tax updates in your test database as well as your live, especially if you find out that you're having a pay control that's not calculating properly or calculating the wrong amount. If it involves anything in brackets or tax rates, then that's just going to slow us down in getting it resolved. I would have to build it up in your test system, so you may as well do it and save yourself a few bucks. Okay. I need examples. You should be able to tell us what the calculation results should be. And then, are you having the problem in green shades, or are you having it within nav? Those are the important things I need when you're sending in a request, or even when you call me. Okay. Other things that I think it's important for you to know, obviously, it's the busiest time of the year for us. It is more time consuming than normal payroll tickets or other issues, usually just because of the complexity of the issue. Okay. Make sure you're doing your troubleshooting. If you've done it, and if that's in your production system, your live database, understand that if I can't determine what the problem is, I may need to reach out to Kennick or Serenic, and then also maybe to Green Shades. They're prepared. They know this time of the year is their crunch time as well. And so they do try to help as quickly as they can, especially if I give them, a level of urgency that is like, I need this done now. So, the more communication and the more information I have, if I have to go to them, the better I can get support for you. And then one of the things I ask for is please be patient during this time of the year, because as bad as it is for you, and I know it is, there may be other customers out there where they have an issue that's even worse. So I just need you to be patient. I will try to acknowledge all the requests I get and at least give you an approximation of time when I think I can get to it. If that does not match the date you need it by, then you need to let me know. Okay. So again, the more details you can give me, especially of what the desired results should be, then that's going to help us quicker. Patterns and trends in data, especially when you're having issues, that's very important, because that can give us a huge clue as to what is happening. Okay. The other thing I always ask people, have there been any changes to your database? Has anybody put in any new code or done anything that could potentially be interacting poorly with payroll? Typically, you don't have that, but sometimes there's other changes. Maybe you've added a new pay control yourself and you didn't get it set up entirely, or you had problems getting it set up. So different things like that. Okay, so again, we're going to recap some. As I stated, at the beginning, my goal is really to help you save money and get the ticket resolution as quickly as possible, and then overall improve your support experience. The quicker we can get support tickets resolved for you, obviously, the more money we're saving for you. But in order to do that, I need you to help me with the different types of information I need. So again, you basically have a few different ways to submit tickets, either email through the website or calling support directly. Start early with your year-end payroll processing. I cannot stress that enough. First of all, you may have a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there. The more you can get done ahead of a time, then as January rolls into being, it's going to be much easier on you. Now is not too early to run your reports. Yeah, you might have a few more payrolls left for the year, but if you do your preparation for the previous 11 months, you're not going to have much to review after December is over. Okay. Again, because we don't use green shades often, log in and refamiliarize yourself with not only the filing center, but also the form center and how to get there. Look around at the different options you have in each. And then please provide me or us, Innovia, with the information I just reviewed with you that allows us to assist you a lot quicker and hopefully then to save you money. Okay. If you start early, you're going to finish strong. I want payroll to be an enjoyable experience for you. Maybe that sounds corny, but it really can be as long as you do all your preparation. Okay, so that concludes what I was going to present. I know it seems like a lot of repetitive information, but it's because each of those points that I've brought up are truly important. So I want you to be prepared and don't want you stressing out. So, do we have any questions?
Not at this time, Lori.
Okay, well, I thank you. Remember, this will be set up in a recording and it will be ready by the end of the week. So, even though you don't have questions now, if you have any through the week, please, or at any time, please just feel free to reach out to me and I'll do what I can to help you.
All right, everyone. Again, thank you for attending our webinar, and I want to point you to our website to check out our upcoming events. We do have another webinar scheduled this Thursday on budgets, Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2018, and our very own Marlene Mankin will be presenting on that on November 15th. So if you're interested in that webinar or any of our future webinars, please don't hesitate to sign up for those. And again, this will be on our website for you to review again by the end of the week, or if you'd like to share it with anyone, you're more than welcome to, and that's at innovia.com. And I think that is all I have for right now. We do have several events in Canada that are going on, Collaborate Canada. So if anyone is interested in those events, those are on our website as well. All right, everyone. Thank you again for attending. Thank you, Lori, for the informative information on year-end preparing for our payroll. And we just thank you and hope to see you on one of our future webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.